Is it time for me to play? You're nothing. Get out of my way.
Yo, what's up guys, StirPhry here, and today we're gonna check out Melissa. We're gonna take a look at her kit, see where and how to use her, how to gear her, and see if she is worth it to you. Melissa is a 5-star fire mage. Her S1 is Might. She simply hits you with a 60 up to 75% chance to make you unhealable, with the damage scaling off of her own lost HP. Her S2 is Manifestation. She hits you decently hard, then casts Immortality on herself for 1 turn. If she defeats the enemy, then she will reset the cooldown of her S2. The S3 is what gives Melissa her identity. It is the bread and butter of her kit. It is Blood Bloom. She will dispel all buffs before hitting the enemy, inflicting curse for 2 turns. Then when she does hit, she will ignore all elemental disadvantages. Soul burning this effect will also ignore all resistance, and it takes 20 souls. It's pretty valuable. Now the pros and cons to Melissa. The pros are obviously her S3 and her S2. They are very strong and very packed. The S3 has the curse, which I said is the bread and butter. It is very unique and it makes her who she is. Now, as I explained before, her S3 does ignore elemental disadvantage. The strip will ignore a lot of other things, and she gets an extra turn as well. The S2 will also reset the cooldown on a kill and grants her immortality. Now that's all good, so what are the cons, right? The cons is that she's very squishy. So you might be wondering, hey, why does it matter if she's squishy? She has immortality. The reason for that is that her immortality does not work the same way as Kayron's does, as in it does not proc the same way. Kayron can be taken 100 to 0 before he even moves, so he will have immortality and he will have immunity. So when he S3s, he kills, and then he will keep his immortality and he will keep his immunity. Melissa, however, will take 2 turns before she will be granted immortality, which means that she will not have immunity, she will not have a barrier or anything at all, so you need the person that moves after her to protect her from the next turn. And also her multiplier on her S2 is quite low, so it's hard to get that kill to grant the immortality again. Now where do we use Melissa? I don't see her being very useful in any hunts. You could use her for Golem, but I do feel there are better choices than her. As for Expedition, no bueno, I don't see her working anywhere here. And now in PvP, Arena, you might be able to use her. World Arena, I don't see her fitting in because of the reasons I stated before. Of course, you can make her work, but I don't think that is where she would shine. She shines best in Guild Wars. She is very good at sniping units such as SSB, maybe a Charles or a Rylet. So how do we play with Melissa? I kind of went over already. So for example, you could just take her with a Tama Isseria team. Isseria will S2 onto the Tama, S3 onto a unit, hopefully stripping, doing Song of the Stars or whatever, but you need that defense break. Then you got Tama using the S3 into S2, pushing up the Melissa, giving her attack buff. Melissa will then S3 into the other unit without the defense break, stripping, landing curse, doing a pretty respectable damage hopefully. And then you S2 into the unit with the defense break, hopefully blowing up both units at the same time. So now that we know how to play with her, how do we gear her? This is the nuker build where you stack as much attack, crit damage, and crit chance as possible. Your sets are up to you. I would recommend speed, destruction, or rage. I would probably go speed because I really like the speed set. I like having a bit of speed. As your secondary set, you could go immunity, or you can go crit, hit, or penetration. If you are using her with a Tama Isseria team, then you will most likely not need immunity because Tama has the cleanse. As you can see on marked below, speed from 1 to 3 stars. The gray stars are kind of like Depending on your pusher, you could have her really slow, or you would need her medium speed. Like with a Tama Isseria, they push 50%, so you could have her pretty slow. Oxlots push 100%, you can have her super freaking slow. Or if you had someone like a Rose or a Flitica, then you might need some speed on her so that she can actually move. Now the effectiveness will depend on the artifact you decide to use. If you use a Tag House, you will need no effectiveness because you can soul burn it. Now as for artifacts, as I mentioned before, you could use Tag House, but if you don't want to go Tag House, you could go Symbol of Unity or Portrait. You can also use Black Hand of the Goddess if you feel that you are unable to hit the crit damage and crit chance that you want while stacking as much attack as possible. Now the other build that I do like is the speed opener build. You make her as fast as possible to move first. Your secondary set will not be immunity because you are moving first, so you could slap on crit or hit or penetration. You want as much speed as possible and also as much attack, crit damage, and crit chance. I know it's hard to do, but if you want to do this, this is just what has to happen. As for artifacts, you could go Tag Hells again because it is a very good artifact for her, especially since she can ignore the resistance on the S3. But if you don't want to do that, you can always run Black Hand of the Goddess. As I mentioned before, it is a very strong Mage artifact if you are unable to hit the crit damage and crit chance that you want. Now my final thoughts on Melissa, is she worth the pull? I would say probably not. She does have an interesting kit, and when she works, she does work. But how often does she work, and how often do you need her to work? Now, if you have her, is she worth the investment? I would say maybe. It just depends on if you like her or not. For fun, yeah, build her. She's fun to play with. If you are struggling and you need a unit because you want to climb, because you want to do this, I don't think she's really that worth it then. Now, as for the waifu rating, I gave her like a medium waifu. She looks pretty cool. I like her hair. The vampire concept is decent. She's kind of hell-bent on revenge. She doesn't like haste. I like haste, so that kind of doesn't work for me. And she's kind of lolly, which I'm not super into, so medium at best. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this and found it useful. If you did, please like and subscribe. Thank you for hanging out with us, and I'll see you guys next time, man. Bye.